Good gosh, I'm going to need a darn machete, I think, to cut up this cauliflower. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dan's Veggie Patch. This time around, we're going to look at essentially the first half of the gardening season and see how things worked out for me, good or bad. So stick around. Okay, so we'll start here.
What an incredible Cinderella story. This unknown comes out of nowhere.
With the monster, the compost stations. I've got 7 bays right now. It looks like I probably overbuilt based on just the garden size I have right now. I'll probably use 2, maybe 3 of them this year to make stuff. There's a hummingbird over there on the salvia. Anyway, I don't mind though, because it looks nice, and width-wise, it's about the width of the garden. It makes it look nice in the back, and I got storage for some of my hand tools and watering cans and some other stuff here too. So I don't mind that I kind of overdid it. Funny, when I build things, I tend to over-engineer anyway, so it doesn't really surprise me. But let's go take a look in the garden and see what went on. Here's a shot of the veggie patch as it looked about 3 months ago, back in April, and obviously it's just kind of bare. And now looking at the garden here at the All-Star break, to use a baseball analogy. First part of July. Looks a little bit different than it did back in the spring. Let's go look at some of my plantings in detail. I want to start with the lettuces because that's really the focus of where I wanted the garden to start with in the first place. And so I planted 6 varieties of lettuce plus spinach, and this is what I've got left. I'm just going to chop the rest of these down because the other lettuce is growing so well right now. But did really well this year. I planted 24 of each variety, and you can see even some of these are still flowering, but the lettuce is bitter right now. But I'm going to say I did really well with the lettuce, starting as early as I did, and got a whole lot of harvest out of them. This is actually the new lettuce bed here. Give a little update on that. And got some plants that are kind of hanging on a bit, but overall they're growing pretty well. And I know back here at the Simpson that you can get a whole lot of harvest out of just one plant, so I'm not worried that I've lost 2 of them. I'll still have plenty of lettuce to go. Interestingly, the bugs are kind of down on the turnip greens. The actual turnip green leaves do not look too bad. Of course, now I have sprayed them. I sprayed them several days ago with neem oil, as well as pretty much everything else out here in the garden. And as I look around, I do not see a whole lot of evidence of insects. I do see some here and there, but I'm looking to the right, for example, the cabbages. I don't see the crawling around that I did. I see a lot of damage, previous damage to cabbage heads, but I don't see a lot of insects crawling around on them. So hopefully that neem oil has taken care of some of that. As a matter of fact, I got that on myself accidentally, kind of drifted back on me, and it does burn a bit. So if it did that to me on my skin, hopefully it'll really irritate the other insects and take care of them and make them not want to be around. Here's the kohlrabi. I'm left a few of these out in the garden to harvest and just put away. They seem to be doing just fine. Here's the last broccoli plant I've got up. I better hurry up and pick it, I think. In general, the broccoli did okay. Of course, it got attacked like everything else by the insects. But what I'm going to do, and I may start this this summer in a couple of weeks even, when I do the brassicas next, maybe for the fall or over winter, I'm going to put them all under netting just to keep the insects off them. So that would include the Brussels sprouts and the, I don't know if I do cabbages again, I'll do that, but for certain, say turnips and rutabagas and cauliflower, grow them all under netting just to keep the bugs off them. And here I've got one of the spaghetti squashes. It's coming along well. There are several in here at similar size and they're starting to turn yellow. So they're probably starting to get close to when I can get some. These sweet potatoes were a little later planting. I have trimmed them back some to kind of keep them off the paths, but they're looking very healthy. And what I need to do is figure out when I can harvest them. So I'll be looking a lot of that stuff. Similar to the sweet potatoes, I got no idea how the black-eyed peas, what I wait for to see a harvest. I see some beans here that are browning, so maybe that means they're maturing there. Again, I've got to look back and see how long the actual growing time is to harvest, but these seem to be doing quite well as well. What I want to do is just harvest some of these and see where they go, see what they look like. This is probably the best of the cauliflower that I got. And good job. I can't get that with a knife. That will put that back. And got some purple on top there. But I think this is going to yield some decent cauliflower for me. Now I planted these rutabaga later, just to see what would happen and get a little bit of a harvest this time of year. And I'll probably replant them for a fall or overwintering kind of thing. So let me just grab one and see what it looks like. This one's not a huge size, but the rest of them are similar to that, so they're doing okay. I guess I'll leave them for a little while longer. Planted these carrots early, and I've harvested a couple of them. And let me just grab one and see what happens here. Let's just grab this one. There you go. Well, that one's forked. But not terrible. I'll bet it's got pretty decent flavor. I'll try it a little bit later. Okay, these are the onions that were left after we harvested some earlier, just letting them dry out here in the sun. I should probably get them up off of here now. But they're supposed to be nice sweet onions. And my summer stuff seems to be doing just fine, as you can see. Starting with the oregano and the basil, it's really taken off. Got good flavor. And then the tomatoes continue to do well. Next season, I think I don't have to worry about starting them quite so early. I figured that out. It just took them a good while to get going. And there's no need to get them started as early as I did. I see, now I had a Mr. Stripey for dinner last night, and it was pretty good. But we got some more getting ready here to go. I'm looking for tomato hornworms. At the moment I don't see any as well. The plants themselves look pretty healthy. The cherries and the grape tomatoes are doing well. Now, of course, next year I won't be planting as many. I overplanted a bunch this year. And so that's one of the big things for next year, is adjusting how much I'm going to be planting. I'm going to be planting, I believe, a whole lot more peas. As you can see here on the other side here, the rest of those peas are gone. We got eggplants up over there going a bit later. So I'll be planting a whole lot more peas next year, early. About probably as much lettuce as I've got now, maybe 8 plants per variety. Fewer tomatoes, definitely fewer squash. Anybody who's grown squash knows that they'll run you out of house and home if you're not careful. And I kind of figured this would happen, but we've got a really good crop of squashes this year. And they're tasty. I do find I like the black, the zucchini, better than the yellow squash. But they're all doing just fine. Now, Renee was out here the other day in the cucumbers and picked probably at least a dozen, 12 or 16 of them. Here's a couple more that she probably didn't see. But the cucumbers are doing quite well. And I have not had a bitter one in the bunch. These all taste really good. Now we got the beans, and it's time to harvest them. They seem to be growing quite well. Japanese beetles seem to be enjoying them as well. And after spraying these with the neem oil, I've seen a decrease in the activity of the Japanese beetles on here as well. Of course, they've done a number on these top leaves anyway, but I mean, the plants themselves seem to be doing good. Here's another spaghetti squash over there too. Well, to summarize, first half of the year, I would say that the cool season crops, especially the lettuces, I was really surprised. Did a lot better than I thought they would, or than I expected. Got a real big crop of lettuce. Of course, initially I planned to sell a bunch of it. Turns out that I didn't feel like taking the time to start another company to do all that stuff, so I didn't bother with that. But I did enjoy a bunch of it for lunches and dinners. The peas were great. I just didn't plant enough. Beets were good. As far as beets go, for me, they're kind of, they're all right. But they were good. They're all right. I learned about kohlrabi. Didn't have any clue what they were going to be like, but it turns out I like those. And that and the other brassicas and the turnip greens and maybe the rutabagas, that kind of stuff. I've learned that I'm going to plant all those under netting this time of year, just to keep away from all the insect pressure as much as possible. As far as the summer stuff, I'm glad to see that I can replant the lettuce, and it seems to be doing just fine. I've already had a couple of salads from what we had out there. I'm going to go ahead and start sowing for the fall now, and you'll see that upcoming in episodes. But the summer vegetables, tomatoes, squashes, cucumbers, the beans, they're doing great. It's just a matter of me figuring out which varieties I want and how much to plant. Again, I was doing the tomatoes, the Romas specifically, to sell, but I'm not going to bother doing that now. So I get to enjoy them and give them away and whatever. That will also give me the opportunity to, by reducing the amount I plant, I can either put different varieties out there, or I can plant fewer plants and maybe plant more flowers, which would be great, especially on the ends of the rows, just to make things look nice. I've still got some stuff to plant this fall. For sure, I'll be putting onions and garlic back in. I'll be putting some of the other brassicas to overwinter, and probably greens as well, just to see how that does, but that's a couple of months down the road. Overall, though, there's no complaints. Learned a lot about insects that I didn't know. The compost situation seems to be doing fine. I can make some. I'll probably have to put some grass clippings in to make more, as much as I would really like to, but that's no problem, because I got a couple acres worth of grass here to do it. Overall, a pretty good start, and I'll just keep learning from there. So come along with me. I'll see you next time. And just in case you were wondering, the geraniums in my homemade compost are still doing very nice. Growing well. I'll tell you what, the stuff I put out in front of the window in this box looks like it's really doing nicely. And yes, we did spend some more time with our pavers. We managed to get the entire driveway pad done. And to put the nice concrete edging around all of it to hold it all in. So that took a bit of time, but it got done too. So we were able to get some stuff done outside the veggie patch. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not ready yet. And then a project for fall and winter that I'm sure some of you know about already. But we'll see how that goes later on when it cools off a bunch.